My mom made a Christmas toast and only looked at my sister's kids. My 7-year-old grabbed my hand and whispered, "Mommy, am I not good enough?" That was the last Christmas we ever spent there. I want you to picture something: a Christmas dinner table, candles lit, turkey carved, everyone dressed up, the kind of scene that looks perfect from the outside. Now picture a 7-year-old girl sitting at that table, completely still, watching her grandmother raise a glass and praise every child in the room except her. That little girl is my daughter, Lily. And the woman holding that glass is my mother. My name is Jenna. I'm 31 years old, a single mom living in Nashville, Tennessee. And what happened at that Christmas dinner was the moment I stopped making excuses for my mother and started protecting my daughter the way I should have a long time ago. This is that story. Let me give you some background because this didn't come out of nowhere. My mother, Sandra, has 2 daughters. Me and my older sister, Vanessa. Vanessa is everything my mother ever wanted in a child. Married young to a guy named Robert who makes good money in real estate. 2 kids, a boy named Ethan who's 9 and a girl named Chloe who's 7, same age as Lily. They live 20 minutes from my mom in a nice house with a finished basement and a 3-car garage. I took a different path. I got pregnant at 23 with Lily's father, a guy named Drew who seemed great until the moment he didn't. He left when Lily was 18 months old. Moved to Atlanta. Sends birthday cards sometimes, not always, so it's been me and Lily for almost 6 years now. I work as a dental office manager. I work hard. I pay my bills. I'm proud of what I've built for us even if it's not fancy. But to my mother, my life has always been the cautionary tale she tells herself when she compares her 2 daughters. Vanessa did it right. Jenna made mistakes. That was the story she told. And for years, I let her tell it. The favoritism started before Lily could even talk. Christmas gifts that were clearly more expensive for Ethan and Chloe. More photos of Vanessa's kids on her refrigerator. Comments like, "Ethan's already reading chapter books," said directly to me, while Lily was sitting right there learning her alphabet like every normal 4-year-old on the planet. I brought it up exactly twice. Both times my mother said the same thing. "Jenna, you're too sensitive. I love all my grandchildren equally. Stop looking for problems." So I stopped bringing it up. I told myself it wasn't that bad. I told myself Lily was too young to notice. But kids notice everything. They notice who gets the bigger slice, who gets the longer hug, who gets asked about their week and who gets patted on the head and moved past. Lily noticed. She just didn't have the words for it yet. Last Christmas, my mother invited the whole family for dinner. I almost didn't go. I had that feeling in my gut, the one I'd been ignoring for years, that said something bad was going to happen. But Lily had been asking about seeing Grandma Sandra for weeks. She'd made her a Christmas card with glitter glue and everything. So I went. We drove 40 minutes to my mother's house. Lily wore her red velvet dress that she'd picked out herself. She carried that glitter card the whole way, careful not to bend it. Dinner was fine at first. Normal family noise. Robert talking about real estate. Vanessa talking about Chloe's dance recital. My dad, Terry, quietly eating and staying out of everything the way he always does. Then dessert came out. My mother stood up, picked up her wine glass, and smiled at the table. "Before we dig in, I just want to say how proud I am of this family," she said, "and especially these grandkids." She looked at Ethan. Ethan made the honor roll this semester. Again, everyone clapped. She looked at Chloe. And Chloe got the lead in her dance recital, my little star. More clapping. And then she sat down. That was it. No mention of Lily, not one word. Not even a glance in her direction. I felt the air leave my body. I looked at Lily. She was sitting completely still, her little hands folded in her lap, staring at her grandmother with this expression I will never forget as long as I live. It wasn't anger. It wasn't a tantrum. It was pure quiet confusion. The look of a child trying to understand something that doesn't make sense. She leaned over and wrapped her small fingers around my hand. "Mommy," she whispered. "Am I not good enough?" 5 words. 5 words from a 7-year-old that broke something wide open inside of me. I squeezed her hand, kept my voice steady. "You are more than good enough, baby. You are everything." Then I looked at my mother. She was already talking to Vanessa about something else, completely unbothered, like nothing had happened. Like there wasn't a 7-year-old at her table, who just asked her own mother if she was good enough because her grandmother didn't think she was worth mentioning. I made a decision in that moment so quietly that nobody at that table even noticed. We were done. I didn't cause a scene that night. That's important to understand. I didn't flip the table or make a speech. I just got very, very calm. I helped Lily finish her dessert. I kept my voice normal. I watched my mother laugh and pour more wine and play the perfect grandmother to Ethan and Chloe like she hadn't just made my daughter feel invisible. When dinner was over, I got Lily's coat, took her hand, and said we were heading out. My mother looked surprised. Already? We haven't even done gifts yet. We're good, Mom. Merry Christmas. She called my name as I walked to the door. I kept walking. In the car, Lily fell asleep before we even got to the highway, still in her red velvet dress. The glitter card for Grandma Sandra still in her lap, because she'd forgotten to give it to her in all the quiet hurt of that evening. I drove home with that card in my peripheral vision the whole way. And I cried, not the loud kind, the silent kind, where you just let tears fall because you're too tired to hold them in anymore. 3 days later, I called my mother. I want to be clear about this. I didn't text. I didn't send an email. I called her directly because I wanted her to hear my voice when I said what I had to say. She answered on the second ring, breezy and normal like nothing had happened. Jenna, I was just thinking about you. Did Lily like her gift? Mom, I need to talk to you about Christmas dinner. Slight pause. Okay. You made a toast to the grandkids and you didn't mention Lily, not once. You looked at Ethan and Chloe the entire time, and you didn't say a single word about your other granddaughter who was sitting right there at the table. Silence. Then, Jenna, I mentioned all the kids. You didn't, Mom. I was sitting there, I watched it happen. Well, I didn't mean to leave her out. If she felt left out, that's not what She asked me if she was good enough. My voice cracked on that line. I hadn't planned for it to. My 7-year-old daughter whispered to me at your dinner table and asked me if she was good enough, and you were already talking to Vanessa about something else. Long silence. When my mother spoke again, her voice had shifted, not softer, harder. Jenna, I am not going to be made to feel guilty because your daughter is sensitive. I cannot walk on eggshells every time I say something positive about Ethan and Chloe just because it might hurt Lily's feelings. I sat with that for a second. I'm not asking you to walk on eggshells. I'm asking you to acknowledge your granddaughter the same way you acknowledge the others. I treat all my grandchildren the same. You don't, Mom. You never have, and I've let it go for years because I didn't want conflict, but I'm done letting it go. Oh, here we go. Her tone went sharp. Everything is always about you, Jenna. Everything is always some big dramatic issue. You've been like this your whole life. This isn't about me, I said quietly. It's about Lily. Then maybe, my mother said, and I could hear the coldness in every word. You should focus on raising her to be a little tougher instead of blaming everyone else when her feelings get hurt. I hung up. I want to tell you about the next part because this is where it gets complicated. My sister called me that same evening. Vanessa and I have never been close, but we've always been civil. I expected her to defend my mother. What I did not expect was what she actually said. Jenna, I heard you called Mom. I did. She's upset. I know. Pause. Then Vanessa said something I genuinely did not see coming. For what it's worth, I noticed too. At dinner, I saw her skip Lily in the toast and I almost said something. I was completely silent. I should have said something, Vanessa continued, her voice quieter now. I've seen it for a while and I keep telling myself it's not that bad. But the look on Lily's face when Mom sat down. I couldn't stop thinking about it after you left. Then why didn't you say anything? I asked. Because I never do, because it's easier not to. Because she does the same thing to me in different ways and I've just learned to ignore it. That hit me somewhere deep. Vanessa, I'm not saying this to excuse it, she said quickly. I'm saying I'm sorry I didn't speak up, and I think you're right to be angry. I didn't know what to do with that phone call. Part of me was grateful. Part of me was furious that she'd seen it and said nothing. Part of me just felt deeply, exhaustedly sad that this was our family. 2 weeks after Christmas, my mother showed up at my apartment unannounced. I opened the door, and she was standing there with a bag from a toy store, and a look on her face that I recognized immediately. The look she gets when she wants to smooth something over without actually addressing it. I brought something for Lily, she said. Lily's at school. Oh, she held up the bag. Can I come in? I stepped aside and let her in because what else do you do when your mother shows up at your door? She sat at my kitchen table and started talking about how she'd been thinking, and how she didn't mean to hurt anyone, and how she loved Lily very much. And sometimes she just didn't think before she spoke. I let her finish. Then I said, "Mom, this isn't the first time. This isn't the second time. This has been happening for years, and every time I bring it up, you tell me I'm too sensitive, or I'm making things up, or I'm looking for problems." She opened her mouth. I kept going. "Lily made you a Christmas card. She carried it in her hands the whole drive to your house. She forgot to give it to you because she was so hurt by the end of the night that she just wanted to go home. She's 7 years old, and she asked me if she was good enough. Your granddaughter. She asked me that." My mother's eyes went wet. "I never meant. I know you never mean to," I said, "but you do it anyway. And then I forgive it and we move on and it happens again. I can't keep doing that, not when it's affecting Lily. So what are you saying?" "I'm saying I need you to get some help, real help, therapy. Someone who can help you understand why you treat your grandchildren differently. And until you do that, until I see real change, I can't bring Lily around you." My mother stared at me. "You're keeping my granddaughter away from me." "I'm protecting my daughter," I said, "the same way you should have protected me when I was her age." That landed. I could see it on her face. She left 20 minutes later with the toy store bag still in her hand. That was 4 months ago. My mother has called me 11 times since then. I've answered twice. Both times she wanted to talk about how unfair I was being. Neither time did she mention therapy. My dad texts me every Sunday. Short messages. "Love you, kid. How's my Lily bug?" He's never been a man of big gestures, but those texts mean something to me. He's respecting my decision even if he doesn't fully understand it. Vanessa and I have talked more in the last 4 months than we have in the last 4 years. She started therapy herself. She told me our mother did the same thing to her growing up in different ways, and she'd been burying it for decades. We're figuring out what our relationship looks like now, just the two of us, outside of our mother's orbit. That part has been unexpected and genuinely good. Last month, Lily's school had a little winter art show. She'd been working on a painting for weeks. Watercolors, lots of purple and yellow because those are her favorite colors. A big messy sun in the corner that looked more like a flower, but she was so proud of it. I sat in those tiny school chairs with my knees practically at my ears and watched my daughter stand next to her painting while her teacher described it to the room. Lily looked out at the crowd, found my face, and broke into the biggest smile. After the show, she ran to me and grabbed both my hands. "Did you see it, Mommy? Did you see my painting?" "I saw it, baby. It was the best one in the whole room," she laughed. "You have to say that. You're my mom." "I say it because it's true." She hugged me around the middle, and I held her there for a second longer than necessary. She doesn't ask if she's good enough anymore. That question, the one she whispered at that Christmas table, has not come out of her mouth one single time since we stopped going to my mother's house. I don't think that's a coincidence. Do I miss my mother? Some version of her, yeah. The version I always hoped she'd be. The grandmother I imagined Lily would have. The mom who would show up for both her daughters the same way. But that woman doesn't exist. Maybe she never did. What exists is the woman who showed up at my apartment with a toy store bag instead of an apology. The woman who called me too sensitive when her 7-year-old granddaughter asked if she was good enough. The woman who has had 4 months to call me and say she booked a therapy appointment and hasn't done it once. I can love her and still choose not to bring my daughter into that. Both things can be true, so that's where we are, me and Lily in our apartment in Nashville. She's got a new painting on the wall above the couch, all purple and yellow, big messy sun in the corner. She's happy, like genuinely, freely, unself-consciously happy. And I made a promise to that little girl in the red velvet dress, who carried a glitter card, 40 minutes in the car for someone who didn't deserve it. I promised her she would never have to ask that question again. I'm keeping it. So that's my story. Did I go too far? Should I have given my mother more chances? I genuinely want to know what you think. Drop it in the comments. If this hit close to home, hit that like button. And if you've ever had to protect your kid from your own family, you're not alone. Thank you so much for listening. It means everything.